Hello everyone, and I'm back with a new video. So in today's video we're going to discuss some openings. So this is going to be a very long series, the opening series. So this is going to be part 1. So if you remember a few weeks ago in my video on basic principles, I taught you some basic principles in the opening. So I'll link it in the description and on the I button up so you can check it out. And please do watch that before watching this video, and also with the rules video. If you do not remember the rules, please do watch the rules video as well, which will be linked in the description again. So let's go through what all we're going to do today. This is a small thing I've prepared. What we will do today: C openings bracket e4. I'll explain what this is. Look at e5 as a response to e4. Analyze a game which brings forward the importance of these principles, the ones I taught, and learn some basic chess.com features as usual, which we do every week, every video. So let's start. So, wait, sorry about that. Yeah. So let's start. So, now if you remember what I taught in the openings video, that you should always try to gain control of the center, develop your pieces, and protect your king by castling. So these are the basic principles. So let's start one by one and try to fulfill all of them. So the most common opening move played, you must have guessed, it must be d4 or e4 because they gain maximum control of the center, or knight f3 and c4. These are the main four moves which are played at the top level. So e4 is the most popular move. I highly recommend it. I play it myself, and it is especially good if you like attacking positions. So e4. So now let's look at what this move does. So this move, first of all, it places a pawn in the center, which is good. It is controlling the central square, and it is also controlling this square, which is also significant enough. It has opened lines for the queen and the bishop to come out. So, and it is also not exposing the king from any diagonal, so that the queen can't come and give check in the future. For the queen to come here and attack, by then we can easily defend it with something like d3. And these what you see here, these are the number of moves which have been played. So c5, here black c5 has been played 562,986 times. Imagine, that is the number of chess games available, and the date start from 1550s. So chess is that old a game, like older than the modern Olympics and all. So okay, getting back to chess. Yeah, so we started with one e4. So now let's look at this from black's perspective. Now black must be thinking, he's got control of these squares, he's got a good pawn, his pieces are easily coming out. So what can I do? So there are many good responses to e4 by black. One is c5, which is sorry, c5, as you can see, it's the most popular move played. c5, you have e5, you have d6, you have e6, you have a knight f6, you have c6. I think I already said c6. You have g6. There are so many openings, which makes this topic a big series, as I already mentioned. So 1 e4. So today we are going to look at response to 1 e4 by 1 e5. So it is the second most popular move played by black. If you go back here, see c5 and then e5. Yeah. So after e5, there are a couple of moves you can play. You can play f4, which is the king's gambit, but that's too dangerous. Do not go for it as a beginner. Highly not recommended as a beginner. One more is d4, and often people like to play d4. Why? They like to give up few pawns so that they can get. Sometimes they even allow this. Yeah, and after this, they say rapid development, which is true. It is not bad. It is really good. Yeah. There are no top level games played in this position, but people at beginner level do play, and it is good. But I would not recommend this personally. I would recommend after one e5 you go for the most popular knight f3, which is played at every level, top level, beginner level. I myself play it middle level. Everybody plays knight f3 mostly. So now let's look at a couple of responses from black which are possible. So now let's see what this move has done, knight f3. Yeah, from white's perspective. White is controlling these squares. He's attacking black's pawn. So now black must defend it if he does not want to be down a pawn. And I also mentioned that knight should be developed faster than bishops. Why? Because knight moves slower. Knight will take. Let's keep the knight in the starting position of it, of the knight. Sorry. Let's see how many moves a knight will take to get here and here. Yeah, on d8 square. And let's see how many moves this bishop will take to get there. So knight 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 moves. Bishop 1, 2, 3. As you can notice, the bishop is much faster than the knight. So it is highly recommended to develop your knights before your bishops, which is why knight f3 is played. Bishop c4 is another popular option, and there's also a particular reason why this is popular. So I'll tell you that. If you don't know, you must know this. So often amateurs play bishop c4. So remember, for both black and white, these pawns are weak, f2 and f7. Why? Because the king is the only piece protecting it. If you look at all the other pawns, bishop is protecting this pawn. Yeah, had this pawn been on starting, bishop is protecting this pawn, knight and queen protecting this pawn, rook is protecting this, bishop is protecting this, knight is also protecting this, rook is protecting this, bishop protecting this, queen protecting this. However, if you look at f2 pawn and f7 pawn, only the king is protecting them. So that is why these squares are counted to be weak. So let's look at what was played ahead. So here f7 is being attacked. So black, now obviously suppose you black play something like this, you can't just capture because that would lose your bishop. So there is no danger as of now. So black thinks, okay, let's go ahead with basic development. And here white decides to be aggressive and play queen h5. But this is extremely rare and not at all recommended at any level. So you can see it's been played only once at the top level. So here now black thinks, okay, let's get rid of the queen. He tries to kick out the queen. What happens? Try to find the move. If you did as a beginner, that's really good. Queen f7 checkmate. Why? The queen is guarding these squares. Sorry. And the bishop protects the queen. This is a simple checkmate in 4 moves. This checkmate is called scholar's mate, and you must never fall for scholar's mate, honestly. So the simple way to defend against this, whenever white plays bishop c4, the good way is to first play knight c6. You are developing your knight. Suppose white decides to play queen h5. You can just kick the queen with g6. Now, why was it important to play knight c6? What if I play knight f6? Okay, no, not knight. I suppose I play d6, and after queen h5 I play g6. Wait, not even d6. Sorry, I'm wrong. My bad. Suppose I play bishop c5, copying your move, trying to attack your f pawn. So I play queen h5. You can't play queen h4, obviously that loses the queen. So g6, if you play, what is wrong here? It's a really bad move because check. So once the king moves, you have the liberty, I may say liberty, to capture anything you want. So that is why knight c6 is important. Knight c6 will defend this pawn. So after queen h5 and g6, I can't capture it because it loses the queen. Yeah. And suppose somebody plays queen f3, going for the same idea. Here you can just block with your knight. And mind you, while playing against scholar's mate, never ever do this. I'll tell you what. This random move. I don't want a move which affects this area. That's why I just played a random move. That's not the thing I'm trying to prove here. Never play this. After this, never play this. Why? This is defending this, but here white has an excellent move. So do try to guess it. Okay, so the move is d4. So d4 is attacking this knight and as well as this pawn. So now you can't move this pawn. If you try to defend somehow, white moves and next move you get this knight, or you at least get a single pawn, a central pawn that mind you, which is really good. So going back, knight f3, knight c6 is what I suggested. Yeah, here now I'll be going through two variations of this today, of knight f3, knight c6. So the first one is called bishop b5. Not it's called bishop, it's the move bishop b5. It's called the Rai Lopez opening. It's written here. So it's the most popular move played after e4, e5 and entering knight c6. So what is this move doing? It's developing your bishop, developing the bishop, making room to castle, attacking the knight, and you're also threatening one thing. What? Suppose something like you win a pawn. This is what you're threatening. So uh, here black will usually play say a6. A6 is a6 is I think the most popular move. Yes, a6. So here white can go back like maintaining the pin, not actual pin. It's a, like almost a pin. If you move this pawn, you can play b5 and kick away. Or here white can decide to capture and gain this pawn. But here it has no meaning. Why? You come queen check, so not check, queen here. So now you're attacking the knight, and the only way to protect the knight is f4. And if you play f4, then I just get back your, then I just win 2 points instead of one. Yeah, say queen blocks, and then I win 2 points. So knight will have to move, and the next move I gain this pawn with a check. So that's why it's good. So a6 is a good move, and it is played at the top level. Okay, another move which is played here is knight f6. Knight f6 is attacking white's own pawn. So if you capture maybe and captures, you can play again the same move. After moves, you can capture with the queen, preferably the queen, not the knight. And remember one thing in the Rai Lopez opening. Try not to exchange the bishop. It is a good piece. It is the most important piece for the Rai Lopez. Why? I'll tell you why. And here say black decides to develop something. You play here c3. Now what kind of a move is this c3? It is blocking the knight. It is blocking the bishop. However, you notice this. It makes an escape square for the bishop. Otherwise, if we play something like castles, then after b5, bishop b3 and knight a5, you just lose your bishop. And this bishop is the most important piece. You might argue, yes, we can play bishop d5. c6 just blocks your bishop and you have to come back, and ultimately you will lose your light square bishop. And the light square bishop is really good in almost all positions where it comes on this diagonal. It's attacking the f7 square and f7 pawn, and once white castles, pawn becomes pinned as the king comes here. So here the move c3 as I suggested, c3, and here after b5, bishop can just go to c2, nicely tucking it away. So at some time, say you exchange these knights, then you can get hold of this strong diagonal. Or maybe you can somehow, like after some moves are made, suppose d6, d4, takes, and maybe here check, knight blocks. Suppose he decides to come knight out, and then after a few more actually. Assume here. Yeah. Here white gets hold of the strong diagonal. Notice this pawn is pinned, so at any time if the queen decides to come here and our queen is attacking it, just make this position possible. And just imagine it's white's chance to play in this position. So white ideally here would not want to exchange queens, but he will do it here. Just say something black plays waste. So white will kill the queen. Why? Because it's a free queen. But black cannot recapture it. Will be check. So that is the main idea behind this move. So let's look at one more opening. So this is the Rai Lopez. The basic principles are take care of your light square bishop. That is the main thing you have to do. And if ever your e4 pawn is captured as white, as black, sorry, if your e5 pawn is captured, remember the queen d5 idea, queen d4 idea. Okay, so these are the main things you got to remember for this opening, and that's about it. And let's go to the next one. So after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, same as before. The next most popular move is bishop c4, which is what I play. So let's see what this is doing. Attacking the f7 square, developing a piece, getting more control of the d5 square. Yeah, preparing to play d3 and then take this bishop out. It's not a good idea to play d3 here. After knight f6, d3. Why? Because this bishop will get out, but this bishop gets trapped. So preparing d3 as well with bishop c4. So here, black's common ideas are bishop c5 or knight to f6. Yeah, knight to f6 is attacking this pawn, so we have to defend it. And it's mostly a quiet game. Bishop c5 is quite aggressive, honestly. You can play b4, the Evans gambit, which I mentioned before. You can play c3. I'll go into c3 more detail. You can play knight c3. You can castle, or you can even play d3. d3 here. These are the important moves. Or some people, they opt to go for d3, so that next move they can go knight g5. And just remember this: never be scared if after suppose knight f6 somebody plays knight g5. What to do? He's double attacking this, and if he captures it, it will be a fork. You will lose your queen or your rook. So how do you prevent this? So first you block. Yeah, you block the bishop with your pawn. If he captures with the bishop, you just capture the bishop and end all threats. And if he captures with the pawn, you can just capture back. So going back after bishop c4, bishop c5, I said I'll explain c3. So c3 is a move which I like, and I'll explain to you why. So this is quite an aggressive move and it has quite scope, a lot of scope. So say black decides to develop some more. He's confused what does this do because we are not planning to play moves like this here. Because a6 b5 would lose black a lot of time, and it's highly unlikely black will play. So this move is actually not planned. So why are we playing? You're blocking this, you're blocking this. Why are we playing this? So after we are gaining central control. Now we have complete control of the center. If you see all these four squares, the pawns nicely cover all each and every single of these four squares. So here bishop has to move. These moves would be passive. Bishop here is passive, quite passive. Bishop here is also passive. Bishop here is completely wrong because you lose a piece. So the only logical move seems to be bishop b4 check. So you block with your knight, and now if you notice this pawn is hanging. So black can capture, because if black captures, I can't capture back because it would be a check. So now I need to capture back. So I'm planning to castle. So now it's no longer pinned and I can easily capture back. So black decides to exchange before it's too late. And he gains a pawn. He gains two pawns here. The first pawn he gained here and here. Now what is white's strategy? White is now playing this, attacking, putting even more pressure on this square. Black, okay, he got a free rook. He takes the rook. So why did we hang the rook? Let's look at what can be done. Bishop f7 check. King f8. King moves. Now we can win the queen easily. Queen is trapped. Queen has no move to play. Queen comes here, the bishop kills. Queen comes here, anywhere on this line, the bishop will kill. If it kills the bishop, knight kills. Lastly, if you block here, the queen does survive for one move longer. Say he decides to block, check, and you just win the whole queen, and this game is completely winning. So this is why I like this particular opening. You might have your own opinions, you might like to play it, you might not like to play it. Basic principles are keep on developing, attack the f7 square, yeah, if possible play knight f3, knight g5. Bishop can come to a3 to prevent the king from ever castling, because if you remember how kings castle, the kings won't be able to castle. It's in my beginners video, in my rules video, which will be linked in the description. So now let's go quickly to the game which we have to analyze as we're running out of time. So this is a game against one of my friends whose name I shall not reveal. So he is extremely high rated. He is I think 1920 rating and I am around 1100 rated on chess.com. So this is a game which he was playing against me. And since he's better, he gives me rook odds. Basically, he plays without one rook. Yeah. So e4, e5, knight f3. Just ignore the previous moves. Just concentrate on this. e4, e5, knight f3. So he replied with knight c6, and this is all common as I taught you. Bishop c4, bishop c5. I told you I like playing this opening. And here in premium membership chess.com, you get this analysis mode. So I'm not allowed to share it with you, I think, but I'll just for this one game I'll show you the analysis. So this is knight f6 is good, but bishop b6 is best. Basically, they're teaching which move is what, and then the variation just showed you. It's called the Greco attack. Just a sec. Yeah, sorry. So here this variation. So now he's smart. He will not fall for the trap, obviously. So here even capturing with the knight is wrong because queen b3 attacks the knight, attacks the pawn. So that's wrong. That's why he first decides to block the bishop. And once bishop comes, he can capture, which he has played against me sometimes, quite sometimes. But in this game, he chose not to. So okay, he didn't capture. He goes back with the knight, knight f6, which is an inaccuracy. King f8 is the best to prevent any kind of a check. So I go queen c2, attacking this pawn. So he plays g6, defending it. Rook e1 check. What rook e1 does is, usually against him I play moves like bishop a3 or say h3 or knight d5 or something like this. Bishop b5 sometimes, queen b3. First time against him I played rook e1. So it gives him a check. He can block with the bishop. He can block with the knight, or he can choose to run away. Not run away exactly. He can get his king to safety, which you would normally do by castling, but he can't in this game. So he gets his king to safety. So knight e5, getting a good knight. Why is this a good knight? It's controlling so many squares. If you see, sorry, not that. This, it's controlling so many squares. That's why this is a good knight. Good knights, remember, they will control maximum squares, and good knights are usually played on the fifth or sixth rank. So he played knight e7, which is slightly strange. He should have captured, getting rid of my good knight, getting me like an isolated pawn here after captures back. But he didn't. He went knight e7. Okay, maybe he wants to maneuver his knight to somewhere, knight f5, knight h6, knight g4 maybe. That might be his plan. So let's see what I played. I played bishop a3. I don't want his knight to ever come out here to play any of this. Why? He can't move his knight because it would be a check. The bishop is nicely pinning the knight. And remember, there are two kinds of pins, relative pin and absolute pin. So relative pin is when you can actually afford to move your piece. Let me just show you an example for a relative pin. So this is a relative pin. If black wants, he can capture. For example, I'll show you where you would want to play such a move as white. Here, if you notice, black is pinning the knight, but white can capture this pawn, and it is possible. You can take the queen. It is a possible move, but it's actually a bad move because it leads to forced checkmate in two moves. So, but it is possible to break a relative pin. However, if you look at an absolute pin, which is there in this game, you can't break it. Even if suppose if I get my queen here somehow, the black knight will never be able to capture. Why? Because the king will be in check, and you can never break an absolute pin. So king g7, getting out of the pin. It's an inaccuracy. c5 is best. c5 is like blocking the pin, and yeah, it's a good move. So I decided to exchange so that he never gets to play knight f4, knight f5, knight h6. So I decided to exchange. If he takes back, it's an obvious move. And here there's a good tactic. So if you notice, I have not taught you this before, but it's called discovered attack. So when three pieces are lined up, one opponent and two of yours, such that if the middle piece was not there, your piece would be attacking the opponent's piece. So you can remove the middle piece to get some advantage. Here I played knight g6. Notice he can't capture with the either pawn or king because he would lose his queen. So he moves his queen to safety and I get back my knight protecting it. So now I'm up a pawn and he decides to break the center. And this is following all principles we sought in law. King safety, he went to f8, g7. This is also following the piece development which we both did in the beginning. His only undeveloped piece is the bishop minus the rook. Okay, he also has a rook. So here I'm going for a move so that I can, now I have an extra rook. So I want to attack him from on these lines. Bishop coming here, maybe rook coming here and giving. As of now it's not possible because the bishop controls. But yeah, it's possible in the future. So now he comes to know what's going on. So he first develops his last piece so that he can come here and protect this pawn. So I give a check. I give a check, and king goes to h8. He has only three possible moves. H6 would be a bad. H6 would be a really bad move. This evaluation shall come. It's a checkmate in three. Yeah, after queen d2, after queen d2, queen e3, and checkmate. With best defense, it's a mate in three moves. So therefore, this move is wrong. So king h8, king f8 are both logical. He plays king h8, and here I go for rook f3. Why? His knight is hanging. I want to get rid of it. So let's see what he played. Defends his knight, and now I have an idea. If I can remove this queen, I can get my bishop here and knight here. The chance of checkmate is high, and if I play rook g3, the king won't even be able to escape. So that's my plan of queen e2. Rook c8, attacking the pawn. Here, bishop c2, following my plan and also defending the pawn with the rook. Now here, for some reason, he decides to play knight g5. He wants to exchange knight g4. He wants to exchange my good knight. So I completely uh, ignore this threat because I found a good mating sequence if he captures. Rook to h7 check. Notice the bishop protects the rook so the king can't capture. Only possible move is king g8. And now I gain back my knight. And here he resigns the game. Why did he resign? So with best defense, I'll show you the best defense in this position. f6 is the only possible defense, or next move, or because white is threatening queen g8, sorry, queen g7 and queen h8. The only move to prevent both the checkmates is f6, blocking the queen and also protecting the g8 square, g7 square. So now you don't even need to capture the queen. You have a forced checkmate. So it's really tough to find it. I won't ask you to do it honestly. Queen g3 check. Bishop still protects the rook. You can't capture. So the bishop shall block. Anything else leads to checkmate. Rook e7 winning the queen. You already are winning the game. Getting out of this pin. And here you go for queen d6. Threatening all kind of discovered attacks. It gives a check and you can easily capture the bishop. So bishop e6 preventing preventing queen d7 or queen e6. Queen still captures and white black has nothing to do. Whatever he plays next move, queen to f7 is a checkmate. So that is why he resigned the game. So this was a game which follows all the principles I told you. So I just wanted to share with you these kind of games so that you know what it is like to play one. And finally, as usual, we will go through some of the basic features of chess.com. So let's see. So today, let's see what we can do for today. So last time I taught you the glossary feature. So today let's learn some. I have also taught you a puzzle feature if you remember. So today, yeah, let's learn what I just showed you now. or let's learn analysis board. So most of my videos, what I do, analysis board. You can go here, you can do setup position, you can load FEN and PGN. FEN and PGN are basically two different, like you have PDF, you have FEN and PGN, and you can load device analysis. This was the last analysis I did here, so I don't need that now. So I'll just go over to analysis in the learn tab. So if I can make a move, like I can directly start analyzing, or I can set up a position. Suppose I want everything to get removed. I want to suppose put a king here. I want to put a queen here. I want to put a say a rook here, and I want to put a king here, and I want to analyze this endgame. So you can load this here. This is your FEN. Like they were asking for FEN. So if you have the FEN from other websites also, you can get them. So you can load the FEN, or you'll also get the PGN. Just load. So after loading, you can run report to analyze, or you can play moves, certain moves if you just want to see how it works. You can do max analysis for computer analysis. Initiating max analysis, rook c7 is the best possible move ever. This is flipping the board basically. This is getting a fresh analysis. This is resetting. This is to download. This you can use to download the PGN and the FEN. If you look here, FEN and PGN. If you enter a position, see PGN is down here. This is the PGN. FEN and PGN can be downloaded. You can share it with somebody on email. You can play a game against the computer. So that's all for today. It was an extra long video, so I'm sorry about that. And this was just part 1 of E4. So we got to cover more parts of E4. Then we got to go to D4, C4. This is going to be a long series. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.